There are reports this morning that Google and China are scheduled to restart talks over censorship. But at the same time, Google is working with the U.S. government to identify the Chinese hackers behind a breach of Gmail accounts. There are obviously big implications here for cybersecurity, and the stakes are only getting higher for corporate America. For more, we're speaking with Greg Garcia, the first presidentially appointed Assistant Secretary for Cybersecurity and Communications. He served under George W. Bush and the U.S. Department of Homeland Security from 2006 to 2008. Greg now is president of Garcia Strategies, an advisory services firm specializing in national cybersecurity. So, Greg, my question for you, we've seen a whole lot of detail dribble out over the past few days, zeroing in on these Chinese hackers, or at least those allegedly to have hacked into Google accounts from China. Does it surprise you what we're hearing? And it would appear all of what we're hearing is coming one way or another from the U.S. government.
No, it isn't at all surprising, Eric, and that's a good question. I think it's important to keep in perspective that these kinds of hacking attacks happen every day, whether or not we see them. When they are discovered, they're reported as catastrophic revelations. But I think we should be focusing less on who done it and more on who's going to stop. That's the first point. And the second point is that, like a lot of other companies, less prominently, Google's recognized that who's going to stop it is a team. And they have decided to team with the National Security Agency, I think, appropriately.
So, excuse me, I mean, Greg, is it possible for the National Security Agency to really attack this problem? You said they're teaming up. How do you get a kind of consortium between many tech companies? Wouldn't that be a better answer?
There already is that consortium of companies. There are a lot of the different tech companies and financial services companies and many others that do share information, but the information sharing environment has been a little less trusting between the government and the private sector, and I hope that this particular Google case will embolden other companies with similarly global reaches to cooperate with the government, whether it's NSA or the Department of Homeland Security, because we each, both sides, have information about vulnerabilities, threats, and attacks that the other side doesn't. So if we're working together, forewarned is forearmed.
Greg, quick question for you. Is the government adequately funded to take on that job?
You know, they'll always say that they support the president's budget, but they all could use more funding. I think the synergies come from the partnership that I've talked about. The federal government is pretty well funded for this now and in the out years. What we need to do now is get companies like Google, and Microsoft has mentioned similar partnerships with the National Security Agency, to get them together and protect against vulnerabilities that are affecting our networks at home and abroad.
Greg, we thank you so much. Greg Garcia there, president of Garcia Strategies.
When we come back, NBC